Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printing, so far we have seen so many patterns. In this video, we will see how we can actually print this particular pattern. So, if you could carefully observe this pattern, in middle we have the highest number, which is 5 in this case, and going to the right side, the number is keep reducing and reaching to the number 1. So in the left side also, we can observe the symmetric pattern of right side. The numbers are keep reducing and reaching to the number 1. So let us go ahead and see how we can actually print this whole pattern. So in order to print this pattern, first we will be dividing this whole pattern into two patterns, which is one this above, and later we will print this below pattern, and by combining both of them we can able to get the whole pattern. So let us go ahead and see how we can actually print this particular above pattern. So in order to print this particular above pattern, we can observe that we have 5 rows, right? Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4 and row 5. So for that reason, I will take a variable rows here. So I will assign the rows as 5. So later, if you could able to observe this clearly, we have spaces, right? So apart from these numbers, we have spaces at the beginning. So we first need to print these spaces so that we can able to get the exact pattern. So in order to keep track of these spaces, in order to print these spaces, I will use a variable spaces here. So I will assign these spaces with whatever the spaces that we are having in the first row. So if we could carefully observe, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have got 8 spaces, but we cannot directly put 8 here because if we change the value of rows, the spaces will be changed and the pattern will be affected, right? So for that reason, we can observe the logic 2 into rows minus 2. So here 2 is multiplied with rows which is 5 and which results 10 in this case, and minus 2 which results 8. So whenever we change the value of 5 to some other number, these spaces won't be affected. So for that reason, we have come with this particular logic. So let us go ahead and see how we can generate this pattern. So in order to generate, first we will be generating this many number of rows. So for that reason, I will be using for I in range. So we need to generate the range of values here. So what are the range of values we need to generate here? So if you could observe in this above pattern, these diagonals which are here and here, we have got both diagonal values as same, which are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here also we have got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So by using these diagonal values, later we can actually come with all these values. So for the time being, we will generate these particular diagonal values 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So for that reason, 5 is having in rows. So we are starting at 5 and going till the value 1. So for that reason, I have mentioned 0. So by the functionality of this range, we will be stopped at the value 1. So we will be using this range function so many times in this example. So if you have any confusion in range, I sincerely suggest to watch my video about range function so that you can able to understand it clearly. So now we will be reducing with minus 1 here. So we are starting with rows which is 5 and going till the value 0 which will be ended up at 1, and we are reducing these values by minus 1. So in this I will just print the value I to know what value we are having in I. So we can see we have the value of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which are exactly that what we have expected by these diagonal values. So now we have got these values. Now what we will be doing is that we have got this symmetric shape, right? So in middle we have 5, right side and left side we have symmetric shape. So for that reason, first we will print this particular left side pattern which is starting with 5 and this particular value, this particular pattern. Later we will print this particular right side pattern, and by combining them we can get the whole pattern above. So for that reason, as we have discussed, we will be generating this particular right side pattern. So if you could observe this particular not the right side left side pattern, first we will generate this left side pattern. So if you could observe this left side pattern, we can observe that in every single row this is starting with 5, starting with the I value and going till the value 5. In the first row we only having I, which is the value 5. The second row we are starting with 4, which is the value I, going till the value 5. The third row we are starting with 3 and going till the value 5, which is 3 is the value of I here. So like that in every single row we are starting with value I and going till the value of 5. So that is what we have observed. So when we have this kind of a repeated statement, we generally use loops, right? So for that is what I will be doing now. Inside of this for loop, I will use one more loop for j in range. Now we will be generating those range of values that what we have discussed, starting with I and going till the value 5, which is rows plus 1 here. So in this, to know what values we have got, I will print the value j here. So if you can observe carefully, we have got the values 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the exact values that what we have in the left side. So we have got the values. The only thing we need to do now is that we need to arrange those values so that we can able to get the pattern. So to arrange, what I will be doing is that here I will mention end with a single space. By default, this print of end having new line. So that is the reason we are getting in this case in like this, everything in a new line. By mentioning this, we will get everything in a single line. So we have got everything in a single line. So after that, we can observe in this pattern, after it reaches to the value 5, it was going to the new line. So that is what we will be doing now. So I will print a statement by nothing in this case after completion of this inner for loop. So by mentioning this, we will get the values in the new line like this after reaching to the value 5. So that is what you can observe in this case. So later we will modify according to this right pattern. For the time being, consider only this left side pattern. So now we need to generate the spaces before the numbers. So for that reason, as and when I enter into this outer for loop, I will be printing spaces. So we will print spaces after one for loop, and after that we will print the numbers so that we can able to get the exact pattern. So for that reason, I am mentioning space and I am multiplying this space with spaces variable. That is what we are using to keep track of the spaces. And in the end, I will mention by nothing. By default, end is having new line. We don't want any new line. For that reason, I am mentioning nothing. So you can observe in the pattern, the spaces are keeps reducing, right? Here we have this many number of spaces which are 8, and later we have got 6 spaces, later we have 3 spaces, later we have 2 spaces, at the end we don't have any spaces. So for that reason we need to reduce those spaces, right? So for that I am reducing the spaces with 2. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the exact pattern which is here in this right left side. So now we have got the left side. So now we will be generating this right side value. So far, if you understood and enjoying this video, hit the like button. Let us go ahead and see this particular right side pattern. So here in this right side pattern, in every single row, we are starting with value 4 and going till the value I, which is what we will be having in this diagonal, right? So this diagonal and this diagonal having the same values. That is what I am talking about. This I we have seen the values are 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. So that is what we are using I value here also to generate this particular right side pattern. So in every single pattern we are starting with 4 and going till the value I, which is 3 in this case, starting with 4 going till the value I 2 in this case, starting with 4 going till the value I 1 in this case. So let us go ahead and see this repeated statement with loop. So for k in range. So now we will be generating those range of values which is starting with 1, starting with 4 and going till the value of I. So for that reason I am mentioning I minus 1 so that it will be stopped at I. So I am reducing with minus 1. So now if we see what values we are having in K, so we can see the values which are 4, 4, 3, 432 and 4321. So these are the exact values that we are having in this right side pattern, right? So we have got the values. Now we need to arrange those values to get the exact pattern. For that, I will use this end to get everything in a single line. After we get everything in a single line, we need to generate a new line, right? So in order to generate a new line, we need to print a new line here after completion of this inner for loop, right? So that is what we have done in here also. So now if I execute this, we don't get the exact pattern. So we will fix that anyway. So to see what values we have got, what pattern we have got, I am executing this. So we can get this particular way. So the problem here is that we are generating new line in here and also in here. So here, if you could observe this pattern, after once it reaches to the value of 4, 5, it was getting a new line here, right? So this new line is getting, after it reaches to the 4, 5, here, the second row, we are getting a new line and we are starting with 4. Like that, this pattern is having. So if we want to get this particular exact pattern, we need to remove this new line which is getting by this print statement. So now I am removing this. Now if I execute this, we can able to get the exact pattern, that is what we have having here. So now I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate the above pattern. So if you found any difficulty, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video once again carefully so that you can able to. So let us go ahead and see how we can generate this particular below pattern. So we will follow the similar procedure what we have followed to the above pattern to generate this below pattern. So now what we will be doing is that to generate this many number of rows, we will be using a for loop. So for L in range, so now we will be generating a range of values. So the range of values should be helpful for us to generate all the values. For that reason, we will be taking this particular diagonal values here, which are starting with 2 going till 5. In here also, we are having starting with 2 going till value 5. So for that reason, I will start with 2 and go till the rows plus 1. So which is having 5, and by plus 1, we will be stopped at the value 5 itself. So in here, I will print the value L to know what values we are having. So here we are having exact values that what we have expected, that 2, 3, 4, 5. So now what we need to do is that we again need to divide this below pattern into two patterns as we have symmetry. First, we will print this particular left pattern. Later, we will print this particular right pattern to get the exact pattern. So now, if you could observe this particular left pattern, we are starting with this particular diagonal values and going till the value 5. So this diagonal values having L, and we are starting with the value L in every single row and going till the value 5. 2, here we are having 2, here we are having starting with 2 going till 5, here we are having 3, here we are starting with 3 going till the value 5. So this is repeating in every single line, right? So for that reason, as we have repeated statement, we will be going for loops. So for L, M in range. So now we will be generating those range of values which are starting with L and going till the value 5. So for that reason, I am mentioning rows plus 1. Here in this for loop, I will be printing the value M to know what values we are having. So we can see the exact value that what we have expected: 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and 5. So we have got the values, we need to arrange them. So for that, I will be using an end with single space here. After that, as and when it reaches to the value 5, we need to print a new line, right? So this for loop will be stopped at the value 5. So after that, we will print a simple statement so that it will give a new line. So before that, we need to print spaces, right? So we have got this particular way. So we need to print spaces here, so in order to get the exact values. So for that, as and when we enter into this loop, outer loop, I am printing spaces and I am multiplying the spaces and I am mentioning end as nothing. So now, after that, what we will be doing is that these spaces are keeps increasing, right? So here by two spaces, these spaces are increasing. For that reason, what I will be doing is that after completion of this inner for loop, I will increase the spaces. So now if I execute this, we don't get the exact pattern. Don't worry, we will fix it. So now you can observe this particular pattern, which is not quite what we have expected. The reason is that we are using these spaces for both above and below pattern. So we need to do some modification to spaces after completion of above pattern. So to know what values we are having in spaces, I am just printing spaces here. So here you can observe we have -2 in the value of spaces, but we need 2 spaces in the below first row. So the difference is 4 spaces. So we will be increasing this spaces variable by 4. So by increasing the spaces by 4, we can get the exact pattern. So now if I execute this, we can able to see the exact pattern below here. So now we will be generating the right side pattern so that we will be completing the whole pattern. So to generate the right side pattern, as we can observe here, we are starting with 4 in every single row and going till the value of I, not I, the value L here. So we can observe this diagonal, right? So we are using this diagonal to generate these values by using this L value, which is this diagonal. So still we are using this L value in this diagonal and we are generating all of the values. So we are starting with 4 going till the value L, which is 2 in this case, starting with 4 going till L, 3 in this case, starting and ending with L, which is 4 in this. So to do that, as we have repeated statements, we will be using for loop for n in range. So the range of values would be, as we have discussed, starting with 4, which is rows minus 1, and going till the value of L. So for that reason, I will be mentioning L minus 1 and reducing by minus 1. So now if I print the value n here, so we can able to see 432, 43, and 4. So these are the exact values that we are having here, right? So now the only thing we need to do is that we need to arrange them. So for that, I will be using an end with spaces. After once it reaches to the value of L, we need to print a new line. For that, I am printing a new line. So now if I execute this, we still don't get the exact pattern. I will fix it. We will fix it. So now you can see we are getting everything like this. The reason is because by having this print which gives new line, after once we reaches till this particular 5, we are getting a new line and we are pushing these values to the new line. So these values are getting in a new line and these values are getting new line. So like this right side value are getting in a new line. So we don't want to get them in a new line. So for that reason, I will be removing this particular print so that we can get the values to the right side. So now if I execute this, we can able to get the whole pattern here. So now I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate this pattern. So I will quickly explain briefly what we have done so far. So in this pattern, to generate above pattern, we are using this whole for loop here. So in this for loop, again, to generate this left side pattern, we will be using this particular for loop. So for the right side, we will be using this particular for loop. And coming to the below pattern here, we are using this whole for loop. And after, to generate this particular left side, we will be using this for loop here, and to the right side we will be using this for loop here. So by having this all of these things, we will be generating the whole pattern. So if you found any difficulty while understanding this, I sincerely suggest you to watch the video once again carefully so that you can able to understand. So now we will be dynamically take input from the user and print the pattern accordingly. So I am asking enter rows here. So now if I execute this, it was asking to enter rows. I will give, let's say, 2 here. So we can able to see we are having the highest number 2. Right side and left side we are reduced values. So let's say if I give, let's say, 8 here. So still we can able to get the pattern having the highest number in the middle and keep reducing the values and going till the value 1 to the right side and as well as to the left side. So now I hope you can able to understand this logic to generate this kind of a pattern by any number given by the user. So if you found this video interesting, hit the like button. In the next video, we will see how we can print this particular pattern. So in this pattern, we have some uniqueness. So we have one coming like this, like a cap shape. Like this, we are having 2 in the cap shape, 3 and 4 and 5 we are having in here. So like that, this pattern is having. So we will see that in the next video. And to stay updated with my videos, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So thank you for this video. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.